Guys, thanks for joining. This is Essence of Life as a female med student in Saudi Arabia. I'm Amanda Armagost.
And for Inspired Spine and Ice Life, I'm Dr. Abbasi.
And I'm Fatima Attar, and I'm a first-year med student here in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that is so exotic, just hearing that about the female medical student in Saudi Arabia. Now, I hate to say that, but we in America, we don't know much about the rest of the world. For us, is America versus else. And unfortunately, many Americans, probably they cannot even point to Saudi Arabia where that is. First of all, Amanda, what did you know about Saudi Arabia just until recently?
I knew Saudi Arabia is a big oil country. There's a lot of oil wealth there. And I know it's Middle East and it's a Muslim country, and that's about as much as I know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know more because my background, I'm born in Iran, and we are a little more or less we are neighbors. But for the people who don't know where Saudi Arabia is, do you want to tell us a little about Saudi Arabia, where it is, and about the Saudi Arabia culture before we get to the medical part of it? Tell us a little about your culture.
All right. So first, I just want to preface is that I've lived in Saudi for almost 9 years now, but I'm actually Pakistani. So I'm actually Pakistani. I was born in Canada. I was raised in Canada until I was 9. And then I moved to Saudi because we're expats, because my dad, obviously oil. So my dad moved here for the oil company to work here. So Saudi, I love Saudi overall. People really look down on it, but it's honestly a really beautiful country. It's very, very safe. You don't understand what I mean. It's safe. It is really safe. You can go out at night, leave your stuff anywhere. Nobody will take it. It's really nice. The culture also, they're so giving. They're so nice. They're so kind. They'll let you into their homes and they'll serve you properly like guests. Honestly, overall, it's just a great culture. The people here are great. Yeah.
Should I tell you a personal story?
Sure.
So, you and I, we are double neighbors because Iran is a neighbor to Pakistan as well. And our culture is even very much close, language and so on. And one of the things we have in our culture is that when we have a guest, we always give the guest the best thing.
Exactly.
Literally, if there's a piece of meat or food and so on, the best part always goes to the guest. You would be surprised how often I have been confronted with people, I'm not going to call any names, who, if there's something delicious in their fridge, they hide it. They hide it. Their guests don't get that.
Me because I had a dessert I really loved, and I told my brothers,
I didn't say
like that.
Yeah, my mom would be like, if you have something and you want to give it to somebody, always give the best part to them. You can get more later.
Yeah.
So I was like, I get that,
And that's just our culture, because in the Western culture, you reserve the best for yourself. And if guests are lucky, they may get something or not. But, I'm not putting any value on that. These are just different cultures. But so I very much sympathize with the warm-heartedness of the people there. So you have lived there for how long? 8 years?
8 years, 9 years, approximately around that time range. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you're very fluent in Arabic, additional to Urdu, which is your original language.
Urdu and English, 100%. I'm bilingual in that, but Arabic, I can speak 2 or 3 sentences. I've had Arabic class, but apart from that, I can't really speak much. But now that I'm in a university that has so many Arab students, I feel it's important for me to kind of try and learn something. So I don't
Let's talk about your university.
Well, that's what you said. You're from Canada. You were in Canada. Did you say
but
that?
Yes, I'm from Canada. Yeah, so I have a Canadian passport and a Canadian citizenship.
Well, how old were you when you went to Saudi Arabia from Canada? And
I was 9.
9.
Mm-hmm.
What did you notice, or did you notice any, these cultural differences that are significant?
See, this is actually a really big thing I can talk about. So when I was in Canada, so how you have schools that are Christian schools and they teach you the academic side and also the religious side. that was the same for me. So I was in an Islamic school that was also like an academic school, right? And a lot of the girls there, they wore the hijab and I didn't. So I felt like, oh, I'm gonna wear the hijab just to fit in with them, you know? So obviously when I moved to Saudi, I was like expecting, oh, it's gonna be like the same type of vibe. Well, I walked into my school. It was fourth grade. I walked into my school and I was the only hijabi there, the only person. And I was like, oh, isn't it Saudi? Like I would have expected something different. But at that age, I don't think I really had the mentality to like think about how different it was. I was just like, oh, it's a new school, whatever. And, you know, I just continued on like it. I've never been the type of person to feel the differences like that much. I've always been able to adapt really easily. So I think, yeah, I didn't really think that much of it, apart from the fact that it was hot all year round. That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
a weather shock, but not a cultural shock.
No, it wasn't a cultural shock for me, which is really funny. But yeah. I think it's also because the community I lived in was full of expats. So it was like Canadians, Americans, like Indians, Pakistanis, even some Mexicans. So it's very much diverse. So I feel like that made it easier for me to adjust there.
Well, that would totally make it easier for you to adjust that diversity.
Amanda, I
Yeah.
apologize. You wanted to ask a question. I cut you off.
Yeah, well, our topic is the life of a female med student in Saudi Arabia. So I want to hear about your experience as a med student. Since it's your first year, did you have any shocks when you first started classes?
I feel like the only shock I had, okay, I knew that it was an Arab university, so obviously there's going to be a lot of Arab students, you know? But when I joined, I was like, wow, there are a lot of Arab students. I felt kind of left out in the beginning because, you know, they're all from the same schools, the same high schools. They already have their own friend groups made. And, you know, as a person who's not Arab, doesn't know Arabic, and has joined an all Arab university, it's kind of difficult to like meet people and make friends with people. Especially like, for example, in labs, we have one professor who, even if he knows we don't speak Arabic, he'll start speaking in Arabic and we'll have to constantly remind him like, hey, can you not, we speak English, you know? It's okay though, like, you know, it's their culture, it's the way, yeah, it's natural for them, so it's fine. Yes?
You primarily speak English in class?
Yeah, I always speak English in class, yeah.
But is the curriculum in English or is the curriculum?
Yes, all of it is in English.
Well, beside that, things I heard from you is the thing I hear from my daughter who just started the school in Pennsylvania, that, you know, that lots of people are coming from one place. It's practically the starting very similar to starting in any university here in the United States. Now, you talked about your classes and some of your professors, you know, they mix Arabic and English and so on. It would be so confusing to me that, you know, start speaking the language. Now, let's talk about, you know, first of all, the fact that it's a medical school there. How many people do you have in that class? And how many people graduate?
I actually
have, university.
Yeah, I actually have 413 students in my year.
That's big.
Yeah. The thing is, my university doesn't filter out people using a medical entrance exam. They let everybody in the when they give their admissions papers, you know. What my university does is that they filter people out throughout the years. So for example, if you fail, we have a pass rate of 65%. So if you get anything lower than that, you have to resit the course. So if you get 3 courses and you don't get, you know, you fail them, you have to either sit them in the summer, and if you fail more than 3 courses, you repeat the year. Through that process, a lot of people either drop out or they end up repeating the year so many times. There's some people who have repeated it twice. So that way it just filters out the people. So for example, right now we have 400 students. A lot of people say that, you know, next year you'll have like 350, and then it just keeps getting like smaller and smaller and smaller. And apparently last year only like 70 or 80 people graduated like from the uni. So they kind of like, they really push people out. They filter it out. That's their way. Yeah.
I think that is actually a very interesting way to do that. I guess, you know, in a country that's rich, and I'm assuming the country is rich enough to be able to afford that, and give everybody a fair share, but then based on the performance, they're filtered out. I guess in the United States, we just would, that we couldn't afford to bring 500 people and then only 1/4 of them graduate.
So students there don't pay like $30,000 per year?
Oh, no, we do. We
You
pay
do?
a really high fees, yeah. I don't quite remember how much it is right now, but it's quite a lot in Saudi Riyal. And then on top of that, you have to pay for like, they don't give accommodation right now because it's a new university, so they're still building accommodation. So you have to find your own accommodation, your own transport, especially if you don't have a driver's license like me. Your own groceries, no meal plan apart from like paying for like lunch at uni. So you really put a lot of money into it. So they really do get quite a bit of profit out of us.
Yeah.
What is the location of the university and what's the name of it?
The university is in Riyadh, it's like the capital of Saudi, and it's called Al Faisal University. I think it's the #1 medical college in Saudi.
Excellent, excellent. Now,
Yeah.
now you told me that you don't have a driver license, and I know
No.
that recently, women can drive in Saudi Arabia. It has done significant advances and significant improvement has been in the situation. As do you feel, that you have to have a driver license? Because I remember for the first few years of my medical school in Germany, I didn't have a driver license. Is it a big deal to have a driver license to be able to do what you do?
I feel like it really depends, especially like depending where you live. For example, if you live like more like downtown Riyadh, you can obviously walk to like the grocery store, like the clothing store, or like shops, so it's really easy for you. But I live like in a more secluded area right now. So I have to like get somebody to drive me out if I want to like go hang out with my friends or like go to the mall, go out to eat or go to university. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just the fact that like it's easier for me if I have my own source of transportation. But again, I'm not sure personally if I would want a driver's license here, only because the driving is really crazy. It's really reckless. And as a woman, I'm just scared of driving, like in that specific kind of
Yeah, I
area.
understand that. I have my license. I've had it since I was 16, and even I hate driving.
Well, and I hate driving as well, but because there's 2 inches of snow 6 months of the year here. You lived in Canada. Do you remember the weather in Canada?
Yeah, it was snowing all the time. I lived in Edmonton, so I think that was like more of the snowy part there.
Yeah, well, we are in Minneapolis. And when did we start having snow here?
We had snow in October.
Do you ever see snow in Riyadh?
No.
Does it ever snow in Riyadh?
What's the
No,
average
never.
temperature?
I'm not sure, but apparently in Riyadh it can get down to 0 degrees Celsius. So yeah.
42.
Yeah, so I think that's fine, honestly. Considering we live in Saudi and it's hot all year long, I think that's like fine,
Yeah, I think they enjoy some winters. In Saudi Arabia, life thrives really in fall and winter, and in summer, if people are just tell us, I heard that in summer, people most of the time during the day stay inside, and only late evening and so on they go out and
Yeah,
so on.
it's very hot in the summer, really hot, especially if you live near like the sea or the ocean or any like body of water. The humidity is insane. It's so much. You'll go out for 1 minute and you feel like you cannot breathe because it's that humid. But thank God, where it's like in Riyadh now, the summer, it's not that humid because we don't have any bodies of water. But where my parents live and where I used to go for high school, the summers were really hot. So it was difficult to like stay out for more than 5 minutes. We would always be inside.
I would love to know, how your curriculum, like your classes on the medical side look like. And I'm sure Amanda, from her nature, is really interested. How is it living, working, having fun with your friends and so on look like? But why don't we start about your curriculum? You're in the first year. Tell us about your classes that you have to visit and the pass, fail rate, how you prepare for them. Run us through your first year of medical school.
Of course. So, all right. So firstly, the curriculum is a spiral curriculum. So what they do is that the first 3 years are obviously pre-clinicals. It's all basic medical sciences. And what they have is we have blocks. Yes?
Those basic medical science, what does it entails? What are those classes, actual?
So for example, we have like biochemistry, musculoskeletal anatomy, we have renal, genetics. Right now, I'm doing gastrointestinal. That's the block I have right now. We have like communications medicines, like primary health, public health, rural health. I think next term we have cardiopulmonary block, cardiovascular. We have something called HLS, I think. I'm not quite sure what that is right now. I need to look into that. But so basically that's the kind of stuff we have. So we have like pharmacy, all those kind of like blocks for the next 3 years, like this year, next year, and the year after. And the first two exams I sat were the foundation exam. So the foundation exam is basically the basic of everything. So it's like, like the cell structure, like all of that stuff, just in a bit more detail. So it's like A-levels, it's the A-level curriculum, but like a bit more, to make sure that we have like that basic understanding of everything before we move on, and to like filter out the people who need to go over it. That was fine.
If I may just add to that, for people who are not familiar, in the United States, we have so-called PreMed or undergrad, and we cover like cytology, many physiology, and many of those things that you're talking about in the PreMed. Then we apply for med school, which is additional 4 years after you have done the undergrad. But in many countries, in Germany, in Iran, and I'm assuming Saudi Arabia, you start from the high school directly with the med school. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So that what you just described is that so-called the undergrad, the part of the medical school that we cover in the United States in the undergrad, but there are some programs as well in the United States that the undergrad and the grad school for the medical school are included all together. You start and you, with the goal, everybody in that pre-med goes to the med school. So you covered now practically the undergrad or pre-med equivalent in the United States.
Yeah.
How many years is that the foundation continues before you start going to the clinical part?
It's 3 years. So the first 3 years are all like, at the university, like doing labs and just, general information. And then the 4th year and 5th year are your rotations, your clerkship and your electives. So you go to the hospital and you like do different electives and get graded on it. And then that's 5 years. And then our 6th year is an internship, or I think an observership. So you can either go to a hospital in Saudi or internationally, and you just do an internship with different doctors, and you get graded based on that, and then you graduate.
So 6 years, and which is very similar to Germany, actually. In Germany, you just practically described the medical education in Germany. Very similar. So but we are as well very much interested, what do you do when you are not in the school, right? Amanda, what do you know?
Yeah, like what does a typical day look like for you? How many hours of class do you usually have per day?
I think the maximum hours of classes I've had so far has been from 8 a.m. to maybe around 3 p.m.
Okay, that's like a work
day.
With an hour break in between and 15-minute breaks between each class.
Okay.
So it's pretty fun. It's okay, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound overwhelming. like what I would have thought. And then, so what do you do after school?
I don't really come back to where I stay. I usually stay at uni just because it's easier to study and go over my things. And also my friends are there, so it's easier to hang around, just walk around the campus, see everything. And also there's a lot of activities that the university does, which they did not entail on their website. When I was applying, I was like, I don't know if I want to go here, because there's no social activity on their page, and that's a really important thing for me, I'm a very extroverted person, a very social person. So I love talking, going out, having fun. So I was like, you know what, it's fine. I'm going there for the med degree. That's what I need. But when I did actually go to the university, they have lots of events, lots of awareness events. We have movie nights, World Cup night, all the stuff. Yeah.
The World
Cup. Really nice.
But where's Saudi Arabia in the World Cup this year? It's right next to in Qatar, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, what was I gonna say? So it's fine in the social aspect. There's lots of different associations you can join, the Medical Students Association that has all the sub associations. There's cancer awareness in institutions that you can join. We have journal clubs where we have speakers presenting and professors coming in and talking. And I think every week, once a week, we have an older student, 3rd year, 4th year, 2nd year, talking about their experience, or we have series called So Do You Want to Be an Orthopedic Surgeon, a pathologist, and people from our university who are doing a fellowship in it now, talk about it and explain how it, you can go about it, and then they give you their contact information if you want to contact them. Yeah.
But still sounds like lots of work.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
what about fun things? What are the fun things that if somebody comes to Saudi Arabia definitely has to do?
I feel like in Riyadh we have Riyadh Boulevard. So it's like New York Times Square, like the Times Square. I think it's like that, but in Riyadh. So they have like a mini version of it. It's really nice. I just went there a few weeks ago with my friend after our exam. It's like all these shops surrounded, like a bunch of food places. They have Winter Wonderland. They have this really big horror mansion thing.
What
Yeah,
does the Winter Wonderland look like?
I think it's got this really big ice skating rink. It has like like the what do you call it? It's the thing that moves around. A carousel. It has a carousel. And it has all these different arcade games for you to play, and also has this really big slide that you pay, and then you can like go to the top and come down, stuff like that.
Okay. Ski is kind of skiing, indoor skiing.
Yeah,
That
except you
sounds like
sit
indoor
and just slide down. It's like
Yeah.
sledding almost.
Okay. On
Yeah.
ice?
It's just like plastic.
It's
It's
a sled.
plastic. Oh, it's a
Sled.
slide. Slide. Okay,
Yeah, it's
I
like
see.
slide.
Because I heard maybe it's in Dubai that there is actually inside of the building there is somewhere people can actually ski. They make ice and snow and so on.
Yeah, they
But
do. I've been
that's
there.
only here. Yeah. Oh, you have been there. Okay.
Yeah.
So are your classes about 50-50 male female, or what's the ratio at
There's
school?
I think it's 75% female and the rest are all male, or probably more
Yeah.
than that, 80% female and 20% male.
Wow, 75% female. I guess that in Iran, I've heard that as well. 60% of the students are female. So, but it seems to be in many of these countries that there are more female students than male students.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. You know
In
why
my
there are more
university,
female than?
yeah, in my university though, most of the male students are actually doing business or engineering, and most of the female students are doing medicine. I'm not sure why, but yeah.
Well, that's a consideration that they feel that maybe business or engineering is more appropriate.
Masculine,
Yeah,
they probably
yeah,
think,
more
and
masculine. I don't know.
maybe
I
they.
feel very masculine, and I'm a surgeon, so I don't.
Yeah.
So actually, many the cliches that we have here in the United States against all the Muslim countries,
Mhm.
they really don't hold up when we look into that. Like for many people, they wouldn't believe that the 75% of the medical students in Saudi Arabia are female.
No.
Yeah.
Not
Would
in
you
the
have thought
US.
of that?
No, I feel like in the US, like we may even learn that women in Saudi Arabia are more oppressed and wouldn't be allowed to go to school.
And that is you see that that's not holding up.
No.
Yeah. Now,
Very
what
much
is
not
what do
true.
what do you think that we should know in the United States? Should know about Saudi Arabia or being a Muslim girl in the school? What should we know? What don't we know about you?
Okay, so the first thing I feel like everyone should know is that everybody has their own choice, and like as a Muslim woman, we get a lot about like, oh, why are you wearing a hijab, like you're oppressed, or like you don't have your own opinions. That's very off. For everybody it's different. Some people can be forced into it, but there are a lot of people like me who have their own choice and choose to wear it. Like anything a woman does should be her own opinion and her own choice. It shouldn't be anybody else's.
Definitely.
Also, it's the fact that I also thought when I went to like the university, I was like, oh, there's probably going to be like more male Arab students than female students. I was really wrong. There are so many more Arab female students, and honestly, they all seem like they're thriving. They've got their Gucci bags with their high heels.
Yeah.
It's very much top-notch Arab women in that university, and they're doing their stuff. They're getting stuff done. So I feel like what a lot of people should know is that just view Saudi in a more like positive light. People are like, oh, it's Saudi, it's dangerous, women are oppressed. All I see are women go to the mall every single day, buying the most expensive stuff they can find in like the most gorgeous outfits you have ever seen. And it's so safe there. Like I remember once I was watching a TikTok, which is where I actually found Dr. Hamid. I was watching a TikTok and it was like these people leaving their electronics in their library at their university. Like they just put them there and left. And people in the comments were like, why are you doing that? Somebody could take it. That's so dangerous. the entire year so far, like the 3 months that I've been in uni, I have always left my electronics, my wallet, everything in the middle of the hallway on a table and gone to do whatever I wanted to do. And
We
it
can
has
never
not
do
been a
that here in
problem.
the United States.
No, you
Yeah,
cannot.
it's really safe here.
Well, I think that is one of the cliche as well that we hear here is that the women are disadvantaged in all the Muslim countries, not
Yeah.
necessarily Saudi Arabia. No, I have a question. Now, is hijab mandatory in Saudi Arabia?
No, it's not, because I've seen a lot of women who don't wear it. It's their own choice, and a lot of women who do. For example, in our university, a lot of women wear abayas and they wear hijabs to university, but there are also a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people who don't wear hijabs, like, they'll wear, they won't wear abayas, they'll wear whatever they want to wear. So I don't think it's that big of an issue. I feel like it's just sometimes they'll be like, just wear something modest, nothing too short or too tight. That's the only rule we have in our uni.
I just was watching an interview of I think that one of the high-level government people in Qatar. A Western journalist was asking him about the life in Qatar and so on, and his answer was beautiful. I really liked that, because the journalist was asking about that. Can you live if you're this way or that way in Qatar? And he says, you can live your life, but we are a society, we just don't like to, like he was asking, can people hold hands in Qatar? He said, yes, they can hold hands. But what about kissing? And then he says, you know what? We are a conservative society. We don't bring our affection to the public. Everybody can live their life. And that was, I thought, is a very beautiful answer to that, that the way we decide to live in the United States is the way we decide to live. And the other cultures, they have their choices how to live their lives. And his answer was, we are not a culture that we want to show our affection in the public. And if the society, a culture decide that, I think it's their decision and their decision only. I thought that if you have not seen that, you should go and look for, I forgot the name, but it was a very beautiful explanation why not everybody should be like us in the United States, and that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good to not be exactly like us. We're not perfect here.
No, well, we decided to be this way, but other cultures have their choices to decide how they want to be. Now, what do you do for fun in Saudi Arabia?
Go to the mall. That's honestly all I do. Like, I will go out with my friends, eat out with my friends, maybe like try and find a new place, watch a movie. But apart from that, just like the mall, movies, eating out. That's mostly what I do.
That is almost what I would expect from you, Amanda, to say, right?
Yeah.
Going to stores and, getting together with your friends and so on.
Yeah.
And I hear that they have the best malls in Riyadh. Is that true?
I've been to 2 so far. And in my personal opinion, that's what I heard too. But the malls were quite small. I think I went to every single store in the mall in a span of an hour, and I didn't get anything. So maybe I need to just look at better malls. But they're still nice. It was nice. They had a lot of stuff that I wanted. It was just fine. It was normal.
Do you sometimes go to Dubai or some other countries in the Gulf region for shopping and so on?
Not really. I've been to Dubai twice. Yeah, but me and my parents didn't really like it. Maybe because I just didn't do the right activities. I've been to Kuwait. Kuwait is really nice, especially for shopping. Their malls are really nice. But yeah, in Kuwait.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Do you pay tax in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, 15% VAT.
15?
Yeah.
What's ours? 7?
Oh, well, we in Minnesota, in some states, it's as well 15%. In Germany, it can be up to 18 and 20%.
But didn't we hear there's no income tax?
Oh, yes. We heard that in Saudi Arabia, there is no income tax. Like if you get it, if you work and you get
$1 million, you take home $1 million. Where here, income tax is at least 30%.
At least 30%.
At least.
I have
For
like
lowest-
50%.
Yeah, for the lowest
Yeah.
income, it's 30% tax.
So about the whole finance thing, I'm not really like an expert on this, so I don't know. But what I do know is when we buy products from outside, like for example, when we like get stuff shipped or like, you go to the grocery store, everything will have like VAT 15%, like tax on the stuff. So maybe we don't have income tax, and then that means like all the products we buy from outside, they all have tax on it.
Here in the US, like a lot of times when you're in school, you're also working. So you go to school and then after school you go to work. Do you do that too?
No, I was planning to get a job this year, but I feel like first right now I just want to like get used to like the med school, how like my, study schedule, how I want to study, So in the future it'll be easier for me to have a job and also balance my med school life. So yeah. But I'm definitely planning to do that.
No, I'm really interested to know what do you plan to do when you graduate? What direction do you want to go and why?
Well, I want to do the USMLE, the step 1, step 2, and come to the US and do residency there. I feel like I don't really have a specific reason for wanting to go to the US residency. Like obviously, since I'm a Canadian citizen, I could also go to Canada. But I've heard like, through my research that I've done is that Canada is much harder to match into. For example, if you take a year off, your chances of matching in will become lower. You also have to sit many more exams for Canada, I think, than you have to sit for the US. I also feel like the US would be like a really good stepping stone, as in if I do my residency there, I feel like, for example, if I wanted to move countries, it would be better for me to have residency in like the US than any other country,
Well, I can applaud that. I can tell you that I have done med school in Iran and Germany, and I've done residency in Germany and US. The residency program in United States is extremely good. It almost doesn't matter where you go. It is very centrally organized, and the amount of the knowledge you gain and the efficiency of that, I don't believe, Canada is probably the same, but I can truly second that. I agree with you. You made a good choice to come for residency into the United States.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, but and it is good as well that you know that, because you start learning for USMLE as you go, because it's not enough to have the knowledge, but you have to prepare for those specific exams. So good job on that.
Thank you.
What direction do you want to go?
Right now I'm thinking about going to surgery. I would love to pursue being a neurosurgeon like you are. I think that's like amazing, that's like the number one like medical specialty. I feel like it's just so rewarding, being able to go through all of those years of, residency and then being able to save somebody's life in a way that nobody else can, like the brain is such a fine organ. I feel like that's amazing. Like right now I'm thinking about general surgery. Right now I'm thinking about general surgery because I feel like, as an IMG, maybe I would have better chances of matching into general surgery than I would for like, neurosurgery, anything like that. Because for that, I would be like, my background would have to be much higher. My grades would have to be like top notch, a lot of research. Like I want to do that. I'm hoping to like, stay on a really good track for my GPA, my exam scores. But at the same time, I want to have a realistic goal of what I want to do if I apply for residency in the US. So I'm thinking general surgery right now.
Yeah, well, and that the general surgery is a vast field with lots of opportunities. But I think, as long as you know what direction you are going and prepare for that, certainly it's harder to get to certain areas like neurosurgery, but we have lots of foreign graduates who do neurosurgery in the United States. So you would be among lots of people who have made it happen. So it's absolutely possible. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Do you have any messages you want to give to any future med students? I know it's just your first year, but it's like the year of knowing, basically the year of realizing.
Well, I would say, first of all, guys, med school right now, personally for me, it's not as daunting as a lot of people say it is. I will see TikToks across my For You page being like people crying and being like, oh my God, guys, I don't know why I pursued med school. And I would be like, you know what? It's not that bad right now, personally. Like, I don't want to like jinx anything, but you
yeah, not that one.
Like, for example, for my MSK exam, I didn't exactly revise throughout the entire block, I kind of revised 3 days before for the entire content, and I've still managed to like, get a pretty good score. So I feel like as long as you know that this is something that you want to pursue and you're interested in it and you have passion for it, I feel like you can get through it, as long as you try.
What are hardest subjects in your school? I mean, things that you say, yes, you seem to be a very good student. That's maybe everything comes easy to you, but compared to other subjects, what are those things that you think are hardest?
So in each block, we have the 4 different topics. So it's anatomy, physiology, embryology, and histology. I feel like what I find the hardest is physiology. Sometimes I just don't understand, why is it happening, but I think physiology would be the hardest. I feel like anatomy, you can easily like link to other things and make it seem like common sense. I feel like embryology is really interesting. I feel like it makes sense when you actually learn it. Histology I find really interesting because the slides are all really pretty. And, when you think about all of this being inside of your body, when you look at the slide under the microscope, you're like, wow, this is amazing. So it makes you really want to revise that topic anyways. But I feel like physiology to me is a really bland topic. I just don't feel like ever studying it. So I think that would be the hardest subject for me so far.
Actually, I agree with you. I went through that process long time ago, but it seems that nothing has changed. Physiology is still the subject that it's hardest to capture in your heart and your brain about, like Frank Starling mechanism. Why does heart beat more, efficient if it's filled more, preload, postload, and so on. I totally agree with you on that. So, what else do you want to know, Amanda, about life in Saudi Arabia?
There's so many things. I don't even know what we can cover in this amount of time.
What is your favorite food? What do people eat in Saudi Arabia? What are we missing?
Well, they eat kabsa, so it's like just a bunch of rice, and then they have like chicken on top of it. They have like their kawa, so it's just like water with like a tea bag or like the tea thing in it. Honestly, I don't eat a lot of Arab food. I mostly stick to like my own culture food or like McDonald's or something like that. Yeah, we got McDonald's. Like that's kind of like the thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that that we stay in touch and observe your education over the years. And certainly you're invited if you ever come to US, come and visit us.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Do you want to know anything about us in the United States that you think you should know or people in Saudi Arabia should know? Just to say that we are not as in the United States, we are not as ignorant as lots of people think we are outside of the United States. We are very interested in other cultures. We are ourselves very multicultural. I think what I'm really proud of being an American is that people who would be fighting in their own country, they come here and they become friends.
That's true.
And I mean, I have lots of people, there's lots of regional kind of competition, and like the people from this country, they don't like people from that country, they are neighbors and so on. They all come to the United States and they become the best friends.
Right.
And this is something we are proud of. But is there any question you will want to know about us in the United States?
Yeah, I feel like there's so much on the internet that goes around, about how in the US, people of different cultures are being treated, and how like, especially me as a Muslim woman who wears that like clearly a veil, how they are treated. So I wanted to ask you, since like you live in the US and you've probably like encountered all these different scenarios and situations, do you feel like what the media posts about the US being towards like minorities, how would you say in your experience, like how do you see it?
I'm going to let Amanda take the first shot at that.
Well, obviously I'm not a minority, so I can't answer this the best way possible because it's not my personal experience. We live in Minnesota, and Minnesota is really diverse. We actually have, I think it's the second largest Somalian population outside of Somalia here in Minneapolis. So we do have a lot of Muslim women here, and I personally don't see a lot of discrimination where I live, but I know in other states, like the South gets a really bad reputation for discriminating. I think the United States is a lot nicer to other cultures than it seems that we are online.
And, obviously, I think, it's possible to get bad experiences anywhere on the planet. But I just want to say that I have myself never experienced, or not any in a significant way experienced to be different. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I decided to stay in this country is because I lived in Germany for 17 years. I was a German citizen. My kids are German. But at that time, I know it's getting much better now. The society always made sure I know I'm not German. I have a German passport, but I'm not German. But I was in the United States for 6 months. I was one of many. I just didn't feel that I'm any different. And for me, that made the decision to stay here. As a matter of fact, I want to share my screen with you.
But I don't want to discredit anyone else's experiences that they've
I'm sure they have experiences that are not positive. I'm sure they have, in some areas more than the others. But I want to share my screen with you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
This is Ilhan Omar. Is a representative from Minneapolis in the U.S. Congress.
Oh yeah, I've heard about her.
Yeah, she's the progressive member of Congress in the United States, and she's just from our district in Minneapolis. So I cannot say. I mean, I'm born in Iran. I don't believe I know of any like a Afghani minority or immigrant to get elected to Iranian parliament. I don't know of nobody, but I know that our laws, our society, our culture, our cultural, truly fundamental of our culture here in the United States, truly is based on equality of the people. Now, people will make bad decisions, they will discriminate and so on, but our culture and laws are very egalitarian. And the thing is, sometimes the reason is everybody hears about if something bad happened is because everything is public with us. We never try to hide it. If something bad happened, we talk about it, we go find out why that happened, and we try to do it better.
Well, and not only that, but we're so media centered here. And obviously negativity in the media is going to spread much faster than positivity. So that's what we share more of.
But you notice that I'm more patriotic than her. He's saying about he's emphasizing the negative thing, and I'm trying. No, we are good.
I think the United States is an amazing place to live, and it's a beautiful place to live
for everybody. That's a point.
For everybody,
as
it should be.
Yeah,
that's what it was created.
And that is, I think that our ability to give everybody, no matter what your background is at home, is what distinguishes us from many other countries. I know a lot of countries that are fantastic place to live if you are born and raised there, if you are from there. But here, it gives everybody a home. Maybe not 100%, maybe not perfect. We never claim to be perfect. Well, some people claim to be perfect, but I never claim for us to be perfect, but it gives everybody opportunity to make a home of this country.
I agree.
Well, it has been my pleasure really meeting you.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I know it's so late. It's like after midnight for her.
I think about 9 hours. You're 9 hours.
It's almost 1 a.m. So.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you
so much for letting me be here.
And
we'll have you again.
Sure. Definitely. You want to know more.
I'm always open to any more opportunities.
And definitely, they come and visit us if you're in the United States, okay?
One day.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.